Picasso, Monet, Warhol. You know the names, you know the movements. These are the giants of modern art, the ones who broke the rules and changed everything, right? But here's a secret. The history books, they lie, or at least they forgot. What if I told you that the seeds of abstraction, expressionism, and even feminism in art were planted decades earlier by artists who were intentionally or accidentally written out of history? They are the ghosts in the gallery and their influence is everywhere. Hilma A.F. Klint. If you think Kandinsky invented abstract art in 1911, think again. A.F. Klint was created massive, radically non-representational paintings as early as 1906. She believed the world wasn't ready for her work, a spiritual language born from theosophy and sciences. So she included a clause in her will. Her abstract works couldn't be shown until 20 years after her death. She sacrificed fame for the purity of her vision. Now look at her work next to the established abstract masters. It's impossible to ignore the echoes. Why was she forgotten? Partly her own choice, but mostly because the early art world rejected women, mystics, and anything that didn't fit the male genius narrative. Today, contemporary artists are finally recognizing her as the true revolutionary, seeing her as a feminist icon who blended science, spirituality, and art. Let's rewind to the 17th century, the Baroque era, all about drama and light. But while her male peers were painting passive Madonnas, Artemisia Gentileschi was painting power, a woman in a man's world. Gentileschi often chose biblical heroines, but she depicted them with a visceral, unblinking intensity that was utterly new. She channeled her own trauma and experience into her subjects, making them active, furious, and terrifyingly real. Her work has the psychological depth and raw emotion we associate with 20th century expressionism. She wasn't just painting a scene, she was painting a state of mind. Her focus on female strength, survival, and a brutal, honest gaze is a direct, if uncredited, ancestor to the feminist art movement that took off 300 years later. She shows us that painting's personal trauma isn't a modern invention, it's a human one, forgotten and then rediscovered. From the Baroque to the 20th century, meeting in New York and Paris, before Delaunay, an African-American artist of the Harlem Renaissance who was friends with writers like James Baldwin, but whose artistic genius remains tragically undervalued. Delaney's work is pure light. He dissolved figures and cityscapes into these electrifying fields of color, years before abstract expressionism fully took hold. His portraits of friends were not just likeliness, they were meditations on inner spirit, identity, and the vibrancy of the human soul. While the Ab-X movement crowned certain white male painters, Delaney's mastery of light and color was arguably more intense, more spiritual, and more early. Today, artists of color are purposefully reclaiming his legacy, recognizing him as a foundational figure who synthesized the fire of the Harlem Renaissance with the intellectual rigors of abstract expressionism. He teaches us that innovation doesn't just happen in the spotlight, it often happens in the margins. These three, A.F. Klint, Gentileschi, Delaney, were not footnotes, they were trailblazers. They prove that art history isn't a straight line, but a garden with countless seeds planted, many waiting centuries for the right light to bloom. The artists we remember shape how we see the past, but the artists we rediscover change how we see the present. By dusting off these forgotten canvases, we don't just correct a historical injustice. We realize that the ideas we think are new are often just the powerful echoes of geniuses who came before us. Who do you think art history forgot? Let me know in the comments. If you want to keep rewriting the art history books, hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next deep dive. Thanks for watching.